This is section 4.7, and we will start by taking a look at the calculator. So hopefully you've been using the fraction and mixed number key, but today I want you to recognize where the parentheses are, where the exponent key is, and the x squared key. So we'll be using those keys. This is the negative sign on your calculator. Don't mix it up with the minus sign that's over here. And that should be it for today. So we're going to simplify expressions with exponents, and you can put this into your calculator and practice that. But the quantity 2/5 squared is 2/5 times itself, and 2/5 times 2/5 is 4/25. The quantity negative 2/5 squared, remember we're including the negative sign, so it's negative 2/5 times negative 2/5, or positive 4/25. Now, when the negative sign is outside the parenthesis, this exponent 2 does not go with it. You can put it in your calculator the way you see it, because your calculator knows how to do it. Doing it by hand, remember that we're squaring just the 2/5 times 2/5, and then we need the opposite. So we get negative 4/25. So look at the difference between these two when you enclose the negative sign in parentheses and you don't. And finally, I have the quantity negative 1/4 to the third power. So I'm multiplying negative 1/4 by itself 3 times, and I get negative 1/64. So here we have applying the order of operation. We do what's within the parentheses first. So we're going to do this multiplication first, and then we'll square it. So if I do negative 2/15 times 3/4, I multiply across the numerators, and I multiply across the denominators. And you see that it appears everything's canceling out of the numerator, but that leaves us with a 1. So we have 1/10, and it's going to be negative because you have one negative factor. So negative 1/10 quantity is squared. So that's going to be negative 1/10 times itself. And negative 1/10 times negative 1/10 is positive 1/100th. So here we are going to follow the order of operations. Now, if you enter this in your calculator, you enter it exactly as you see it. Your calculator knows how to follow the order of operations. If we're doing this by hand, we have to do the multiplication first and then the addition. So we're going to change our mixed numbers here to improper fractions. So I have 18/5 times negative 10/9, and I'm going to do this multiplication first, and then I will take 1/2, and my multiplication came out to negative 4, and I do the subtraction last. I find common denominators. And so 1/2 minus 8/2 is going to be negative 7/2. And you can leave it as negative 7/2, or you can change it to negative 3.5, either way. Oh, except they said write the answer as a fraction, so we'll leave it negative 7/2. Okay, when we evaluate an expression, we plug in the value for the variable and we follow the order of operations. So we have 2 divided by y, and y is negative 14/3. And then we're going to multiply by z, so that's times negative 1/3. So following the order of operations, we go in order and we divide and then we multiply. So we're going to start with 2 divided by negative 14/3, And so we have to flip this and make it 2 times negative 3/14 and then times negative 1/3. So we're going to be multiplying, and we can multiply all 3 factors at the same time, and we get 1/7 for the answer. So a complex fraction means your numerator and denominator also could be fractions. So here I have 3/5 over m divided by 10. So this is 3/5 divided by m over 10. So we have this fraction divided by this fraction. So we're going to keep the first fraction, change division to multiplication, take the reciprocal or flip the second fraction, and we're going to multiply across the numerators and across the denominators, and I'm dividing out common factors, leaving me with 6 in the numerator and m in the denominator, 6 over m. Okay, and finally, we're going to simplify an algebraic expression. So remember, when we simplify expressions, we remove parentheses and we combine like terms. So these are like terms. We have 2/5 x minus 1/3 x. So we combine the coefficients and keep the variable part. So had this been 3x minus 2x, we would combine and get 1x. So we're doing the same thing here. We're going to take 2/5 minus 1/3, and then it's going to have a factor of x. So to do the 2/5 minus 1/3, we're getting a common denominator of 15. 6/15 minus 5/15 is 1/15, so we're left with 1/15 x. And here are some skill practice problems for you to try on paper.